Hey everybody, this is Michael Sweet of Stryper, and you are listening to Divine Aggression Radio. This is a very special interview for me on Divine Aggression Radio because I don't take for granted the people that have played a huge role in the soundtrack to my life, and that is certainly the case here. I could give this guy an intro that could be probably longer than the interview we're going to do. So without further ado, you all know him from the band Stryper, and he has a brand new solo album out called One-Sided War. I want to welcome to Divine Aggression, Michael Sweet. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me. It's an honor, and I much appreciate it.
Okay, let's get right into it. One-Sided War. Dude, the album is a monster. I mean, absolutely top to bottom. What has happened to you since, No More Hell to Pay? Because it seems like album after album that comes out, whether it's with Stryper or with George Lynch or your solo projects, it's like you have turned it up a notch. And who can really say 30-plus years into their career, arguably you're making the best music of your life? I mean, how is this all coming about? Where's the inspiration coming from?
Well, I tell you, man, I think a lot of it, everybody knows I have a deep faith. Mm-hmm. So obviously that's the drive behind what I do. But also, on top of that, and just as important, I have a deep passion for what I do. Right. I'm still in love with what I do. Right. And I'm excited about it. I get, if you could see me when, if someone calls and says, hey, we want to work with you on a project, if you could see my face and my eyes, I'm like a kid in a candy store,
Right.
I just get really excited about this, and that passion's still there. I'm not burnt out. A lot of bands are burnt out, and they just don't have the motivation to do it anymore, to record music, or if they do, to record really good music. Right. I want what I do. My goal is to always outdo the last project.
Right.
That's my goal, whether I accomplish it or not. That's what I'm always trying to do. So, hopefully I'm doing that.
Well, I was, when No More Hell to Pay came out, man, I'll just be honest with you, I was just absolutely floored. And I think a lot of the hardcore Stryper fans were definitely just so impressed with the album. The songwriting, the production, everything as a whole just went to another level. And then when Fallen came out, it was like the same thing. It was like the next step up. And definitely from I'm Not Your Suicide to this, I think is a definite step up. Now, what made you go with more of an edgier sound?
Well, I'm just kind of in that mode lately. I mean, obviously the last two Stryper albums have been heavy. We've been out playing heavy. I've been listening to bands that are heavy. I'm just kind of in that mode. Now, who's to say that someday I won't go the extreme opposite and release an album of power ballads,
Right. Right.
That could happen. I don't know. But I'm enjoying where I'm at right now. Fans are enjoying where I'm at right now. And I'm on the ride, and I'm going, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Well, who are the players that you have with you on this new project?
Some of the best I've ever worked with. I got Will Hunt drumming on the album. He's just phenomenal. I try really hard to work with really great drummers. Everybody knows how great my brother is.
Right.
He's amazing. And those are tough shoes to fill. And, you know, I'm a closet drummer myself. I used to sneak out and play my brother's kit when he was at work. And I love drums.
Yeah.
And drums are as important as guitars are to me and always will be. So I always try to seek out really good players. That's why I worked with Kenny Aronoff.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked with Brian Tichy, and I've worked with Will Hunt. And in my opinion, you know, with Robert, those are four of the best drummers in the business, period. So, you know, I'll never work with someone that's not up to par at that level. And that goes for guitar players. That's why I worked with Joel and Ethan. They're two of the best. Phenomenal. And the bass players as well. That's equally as important. John O'Boyle is a local guy, but he's an incredibly talented guy.
Yeah. That's awesome, man, because your guitar player is the lead work on this new album is just shredding.
Oh, yeah.
And did you play many of the leads on this album, or was that all him?
I did 3 of the solos on this album, and I was working out solos. I did all the rhythms. Mm-hmm. I did most of the overdubs, and I did 3 solos. And as I was working out solos, the plan was for me to do it all. Mm-hmm. And it just started sounding more and more Stryper, because whenever I play a solo, it's got that Stryper tone and that Stryper feel, right. And it's instantly identifiable as Stryper.
Right.
And I didn't want to go down that road. That's why I wanted to bring in some different guys, to bring some different ingredients and flavors to the table, and Joel and Ethan obviously brought that.
Awesome. Yeah, but I could tell there was like a chemistry on the album, and the production was fantastic. Now I want to ask you about, I know on some songs I'm hearing just a main rhythm in one channel. What was your inspiration for that?
The song Bizarre, there's the main rhythm is on one side.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of reminded me of some old Van Halen.
Exactly. And that was kind of the thinking behind that. Mm-hmm. You know, going back more old school. Mm-hmm. And because I was the instant desire for me when I'm recording an album is to always stereo the guitars. You know, multi-track, do 2 tracks, sometimes even 4. And I thought things differently on this album. And like on that song Bizarre, I did that 1 track, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the 1 track. And then Danny, the engineer, panned it to one side. I'm like, dude, that's cool. That's great. I love it.
That's cool. Let's talk about your lyrical direction on this album, because I loved it, because, of course, me being a believer, you know, it's very bold and upfront, as have the last couple of Stryper records as well. And I want to talk about my favorite song on the album, because I'm the host here, and that's what I want to ask you about. The song called I Am. Tell me about that song, and because I'm also a drummer, and what caught me, first of all, there's hooks on this album. When it hits the choruses that are going to just leave scars. And what I noticed, the ride work that he was playing.
Yes.
When he hit the chorus. Tell me about the song I Am.
Yeah, I remember when we were tracking that, we were trying to find the right part for those sections. You know, and he tried his hi-hats, and he tried like a tom fill, kind of, you know. He tried a crash cymbal, laying heavy on it, and then he tried the ride, and when he tried the ride with the right ride, we all went, ooh, that's it. So yeah, that song has got a real straight ahead, heavy, grinding sound to it. I'm singing a little grittier. Mm-hmm. It's almost reminiscent. I'm nowhere near the singer, but it's almost reminiscent for me of a little more Ronnie James Dio-esque.
Right.
And that's one of my favorite songs, too. The lyrics are very powerful. It's almost a worship song, you know. It's talking about God. Mm-hmm. You know, I am the beginning and the end. You know, so it's just a powerful song, man. And I would hope that it would hit people. And that was the goal with not only that song, but with every song. But some songs just hit you a little bit more, and I think that's one of them.
here's the question I want to put to you. What do you think the guys would say if you were doing a Stryper show and you said, you know what, hey, let's do one off my solo project? Would that ever happen, or has it happened?
It has not happened. I think Stryper played a Sweet and Lynch song.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we played a Sweet and Lynch song at Monsters of Rock pre-show party, and that was cool. The crowd loved it. But it always feels, whenever that's suggested, and it's always by fans.
Of course.
Fans will come through the line and say, oh, man, guys, you got to do Save Me. You got to add that to the set. I know it's a Michael song, but, man, it's great, you know. And there's always an awkward silence that kind of says it all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like if everyone wanted to do it, everyone would be like, oh, yeah, let's do it, you know, but there's just a silence. So I don't push the subject.
Right. That's probably the smart thing.
It may very well be. It probably is. But, you know, it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, those are some cool songs. I mean, we do covers.
Mm-hmm.
Why not do a cover Michael Sweet song? You know?
If anybody's going to do it, I mean, you're the one who needs to be singing it anyway.
Well, like I said, we do Kiss songs, and we do you know, Van Halen songs live and whatnot. So why not?
Well, and plus, you look at the Stryper catalog. I mean, you're not going to play every song that every Stryper fan in the crowd wants to hear. The catalog is so big. You know, if somebody comes in wanting to hear "Keep the Fire Burning," you're probably not going to play it live. You know.
Exactly. And it's funny because that is one we could do. And one of these days we will add it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And, you know, I would love to see that day come where everyone's comfortable doing that and having fun doing it. But, you know, I can't be the guy that's enforcing that or pushing that through, because it's just going to make me look like an egotistical jerk, you know?
Well, you know, I never thought I would ever see Kiss play Heaven's on Fire or Lick It Up wearing makeup. And then when they did their farewell tour and they had some kind of special on TV, and Paul says, this comes from the album Animalize. I'm like, what the heck? Never thought I'd see Peter and Ace play on non-makeup stuff.
You know what? It could happen. And I already know the songs. If we ever added any solo songs, I already know exactly which ones I'd love to add. I mean, Save Me would be one.
Absolutely. It's one
you know,
of my
that
favorites.
would just rock live. And then some songs from this album too, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to do I Am or do Golden Age, or gosh, heck, maybe even like Only You, or I mean, there's so many songs we could do that would fit right in with the Stryper set.
Well, I've heard some people say that this could be a Stryper album, and I disagree.
I do too.
The chemistry you have with your players on this album is so different. Now, could some of these songs have been on a Stryper record?
Yes.
Probably, yes. But still, this is definitely not a Stryper record.
No.
This is a Michael Sweet record, definitely.
I had some guy, I read his post, who said, this sounds just like another Stryper album. And I wanted to write, but I didn't. Dude, go get your ears examined. Because I think just because my name's on it, sometimes that's the instant reaction.
Right.
But man, I'm sorry. If you were to take my name off of this album and just put it out there as a new band, I don't really think that it sounds Stryper. I mean, it's got similarities because I'm singing this stuff and maybe the structure of some of the songs, but man, it's got its own thing. And when people ask me, why do you do it? Why do you do solo albums when that could have been a Stryper album? It's because, you know, I like to do my own thing, and I feel like this album has that.
Right, exactly.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about that. And I'm really happy to talk to you and hear you say that. The last interview I did, he said the very same thing.
Really?
Yeah, he said he doesn't think it sounds anything like a Stryper album. He said he thought the only song that did sound a little more Stryper-esque in the harmonies was the song Only You.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I think there's only one song that's got the twin harmony leads on it. You know, like that's kind of Stryper-esque.
Yeah, which one is it? Do you know?
I can't remember. If I wasn't talking to you, I could probably remember it. But
oh, is it You Make Me Wanna?
I think so.
I think it is.
So.
Yeah. It's got that in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the music business these days, and that's also going to lead us to a song called Radio.
Yeah.
But great song, by the way.
Thanks.
But being in the business so long, what are the pros and cons compared to the way the business is now than, say, 30 years ago, when everything was kind of hung on that coveted record deal?
Right.
And now with the internet and the way everything is so different, what do you think the pros and cons are, especially for not just in general, but also as you as an artist?
Well, I mean, the pros are we get to still do music, and I still love music, and I'm still passionate about it, and I'm grateful and thankful to be able to do it. Those are the pros. The cons are, as we all know, is the financial side.
Right.
I never got into music for the money. Mm-hmm. It just so happens that we did make some money, and we did fairly well back in the 80s. But, you know, those days are long gone.
Right.
When you would get royalty checks of, you know, $100,000 or $75,000 or what have you, those days are gone.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a rock band.
Yeah.
You might still get those kind of royalty checks if you're in like a really popular country band.
Uh-huh.
Because you're getting a lot of airplay. But, you know, if you're in a rock band, nah. And, you know, those are the cons to it. Because this is, not only am I passionate about it and it's my art and it's what I love to do, but at the same time, it's what I get paid to do.
Right.
It's what I pay the bills and how I pay the bills, and this is my full-time job.
Right.
I don't work a secondary job.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets a little tricky sometimes. When you're not making enough money to pay the bills through music, you start contemplating, okay, what, am I going to have to go get a job? I've been blessed to not have to do that yet. So, and I stay active and busy, and I do multiple deals, and I release albums, and I tour, and I keep doing what I love to do, and, you know, I'm still here, man. I'm still alive, and I'm still surviving.
What do you think about the whole Kickstarter, Indiegogo thing that a lot of bands are doing these days? Have you done that?
We haven't done it yet. I did. The only closest thing I came to doing that was with Sweet and Lynch. We did a joint deal with the label and Pledge. And Pledge obviously had all these packages and everything. And, you know, to be honest, that was a real letdown. I was very disappointed with the job that Pledge did. Mm-hmm. They actually didn't report like a couple thousand of our sales.
Really?
First week out. Oh yeah, honestly it was in my opinion, they might give you another opinion, but it was a disaster. So because of that, I'll never work with Pledge again. That's for sure. Kickstarter, I have no clue. I think there are some bands that do it and it works out for them, and they need to do it because, you know, they may not be able to get a record deal. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to get record deals these days, especially to get deals that pay you what you need to make a quality album and still make a little bit of money doing so. Those deals are gone.
Yeah.
They're just gone. So I get it for the bands that have to do the Kickstarters because otherwise they wouldn't be releasing any music at all.
Right.
But the thing I don't like about Kickstarter and Pledge is, you know, you donate $10, give $10 and we'll do this. Give $100, we'll do that. You know, give 10,000 and we'll come, you know, live with you for a month and do your dishes. It's like, good Lord. I'm sorry, man, but, I just don't have the time to do that stuff. I just don't, man. And thank God I still have some open doors to work out some deals, and I've been really blessed. I've had a lot of record deals in my life. Mm-hmm. I'm with Rat Pack right now, and they've been fantastic. And then I'm also with Frontiers, with Stryper, and they pay us what we need to get the job done.
Right.
So we don't have to go to someone's house and clean their pool and do all that.
Yeah. Robert's not giving one of his foot pedals away for everybody who donates $300.
Right, that's what I mean. I mean, you see 20 or 25 or 30 different options, packages, and some of them I'm just thinking, how are these guys going to do that? You give $100 and, there's, 100 lessons by so-and-so that'll teach you how to play drums. And I'm just thinking, how are you going to have time to tour?
Especially if 50 people donate $100.
Crazy to me, man. But look, who am I to question? If it works for other bands, it works. So, and if they're not complaining about it, awesome. More power to you.
Well, staying in line with the current state of music, tell me about the song Radio. What was it? And I unfortunately do have to work a day job. I get to listen to a lot of modern country because of the people in my office.
Yep.
And, some of it's all right, and some of it, I read the words to Radio. I'm like, man, spot on. What was your inspiration for the song?
Well, it was a number of things. First of all, I wanted to have some fun on the album. Mm-hmm. And I wanted a song that was just a fun song that would make people laugh, and it wasn't the typical Michael Sweet, serious, faith-based kind of song. Right. So it began there. And then I started thinking about that song. As a joke, when I wrote the riff, I started singing, I'm going to write a country song, and it won't be long. And once I started singing that just as a joke and laughing, like, that's funny. Oh, my God, that's funny. I started saying to myself, wait a minute, the phrasing on that really flows good. I actually like this. I'm going to go with this. And I wrote the lyrics, and I based the lyrics on my opinion of all the rock guys, and myself to a small degree. I didn't try to become a country star, but I've done songs that sound country-esque. Mm-hmm. With Coming Home on the last album and whatnot. But, I respect country. I grew up around country. I played on my dad's country sessions. My dad wrote a #1 country song in '76. I Don't Want to Have to Marry You with Fred Imus. I watched Hee Haw every week. Buck Owens is one of my favorite artists. I know country, especially classic country, and I respect it. And I write with guys in Nashville that write country #1 songs. So I get it, but what perturbs me a little bit, and I kind of view it as a little bit of a slap in the face, and it pretty much as phony as it gets, is when these guys that are rock, and now even metal, mm-hmm. that all of a sudden throw on a cowboy hat and a pair of cowboy boots, and they're all of a sudden gonna be country stars.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, that's cool, I don't have a problem with that, but then it doesn't come across as real to me. It's a rarity when it does, like with Darius from Hootie and the Blowfish. He did it, and it actually worked.
Right.
But Hootie and the Blowfish had country overtones anyway.
Right.
But when I see guys like Steven Tyler doing it and Bret Michaels, I just kind of, I gotta snicker a little bit and just think, wow.
I think the guy,
weird.
Chad, what's his name, from Nickelback, has done some country stuff.
Well,
some of it just doesn't come across as genuine.
No, it doesn't. And it's funny because you don't need Michael Sweet to tell you that. The fans know it. and because the fans know it and they're smart, the album's bomb.
Right.
So I don't have to say a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it was good and sincere, they'd have a #1 album.
Right.
But, again, look, it's none of my business, but yet at the same time, on my album, it was my business to write about whatever I wanted to write about.
Right.
And that's what I did, and I had fun doing it. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. And, man, I hope people see it, and I hope people laugh.
I enjoyed it, and I thought it, especially with the intro guitars, I thought it broke the album up very nicely. You get a totally different feel when you click to that track from the previous one.
Totally.
And I thought it linked the album together really well.
Absolutely. And Joel's playing on that, and he tore it up. Mm-hmm. And when I talked to Joel about what I wanted, I specifically mentioned, dude, some kind of a banjo or something, and he did the distorted banjo. I'm like, this is perfect, And just the solo is just shredding. And Joel's got that gift and knack for playing what's relevant to the song, something really musical, but just ripping your face off.
I wanted to ask you about a project you worked on, contributed some vocals and guitar to, because, I play, the quote, Christian metal on my show every week, week in and week out. And one of the bands I grew up listening to came along probably about 5 or 6 years after I discovered Stryper, so the early 90s, a band called Tourniquet.
Right.
And you did some vocals and I believe some guitar on the last Tourniquet album. You sang on the title track, Onward to Freedom. Can you tell me a little bit about that, how it all came about, or how you even know Ted and the guys from Tourniquet?
Well, you know what? Our paths have crossed many times, and the first time I met Ted was I went over, and I'm trying to think of the year. I want to say it may have been like 99 or 2000. It was quite a while ago. And we did what was called Meltdown in England, and it was basically this gathering of, musicians, and there were seminars and there were lessons, and they bring over 2 or 3 artists. And Ted was one, and I was one.
Oh, cool.
And there were bands playing and everything, and Ted did some clinics, and I did some stuff. I performed, and that's when we got to hang out and meet and talk and take photos and stuff, and we exchanged information. And I just thought he was a great guy and is a great guy. And he asked me to be a part of that album, and I said, of course. And he comes out to our shows and, all that kind of stuff. But, he's a talented guy, man. He puts all that together, and Tourniquet obviously is a legendary Christian band, and they've got a heavy sound, and he's done a lot of stuff, man. And he's a good friend of mine, and I respect him immensely. I
also saw a video of Luke Easter singing To Hell with the Devil with you guys at Stryper.
Yes. We were doing something together overseas, and we had him come up and do To Hell with the Devil with us, and it was awesome. And he's a fan, and and we're fans, and he's a great guy, and we just thought it'd be cool, and it was, So, but oddly enough, he's no longer with Tourniquet. He's not singing on this album anyway. I think he's parted ways too. I think he's no longer in Tourniquet.
It almost seems like these days Tourniquet is Ted now.
Yeah.
Back when it used to be just like a full band, now it's Ted, and on that album, I think Luke sang on one song on Onward to Freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope I don't cross the line, and I'm not disrespectful by saying this, but I'm just going to give you my opinion. I think it's always been Ted. But the public perception was that it was a whole band.
Right.
And it's always been, Ted's always been the visionary.
Right.
And just not everyone knew that.
You know, he's the only person in my life I've ever met and been starstruck. I've never been the kind of guy to be a loss for words when I meet people, but my band opened for Tourniquet in '93.
Yeah.
And I was 17, and for 3 years I had just meticulously studied his playing. A huge influence on me. Of course, had the records and everything. Luke had been with them a couple of weeks, I think.
Yep.
And they get out of their SUV, with their trailer and everything. And me and the guys in my band were standing out there, and he shakes everybody's hands. Hi, I'm Ted. Hi, I'm Ted. And he shakes my hand. Hi, I'm Ted. And all I could say was, I know. And I look back, I'm like, oh, you idiot. And I had a little 6-piece set of pearls, and I set them up in front of his 10 million piece set of Tamlas, I think.
And Ted's a phenomenal talent, and he's a phenomenal guy. He's just a good guy. And he pieces all that stuff together, man, and writes it all, plays guitar on it. He's a talented dude, man. So that is the Tourniquet vision and the Tourniquet sound is Ted Kirkpatrick. So I'm putting it out there publicly right now.
Tell you what I want to do. I'm going to throw some names at you. I've never done this before, by the way. I'm going to throw some names at you, and you tell me some of the first things that come to your mind. I don't know any history or whatever that's gone down since you've worked with these people or know these people. So at any time you want to say no comment, that's fine, because I have no idea what your reaction is going to be.
Okay.
First name I want to throw at you is Tracy Ferry.
Tracy Ferry. Good guy, but I don't really know him anymore lately. I mean, we went our separate ways. Basically, when I met Lisa and started dating Lisa, and we were going to bring Tim in and Tracy in to be a part of the Stryper tour, Tracy said, I'm out of here, and he bailed. And we haven't really spoken much since. And then when I left Boston, he joined Boston.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. So, he was a good guy, but I don't really know much about what's going on with Tracy these days at all. So I just said a big mouthful. Wasn't it? Do you want me just to give one word?
That's perfect. That's fine. I'll throw the next name out there to you, George Lynch.
George Lynch, very, as it says, Mr. Scary, very scary. He is brilliant. He's a brilliant guitarist and a brilliant person. And, I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but he's also a self-proclaimed free thinker / atheist.
Really?
Yeah. And, if you get in conversation with him, he's a real smart dude, man. He's well-educated, well-read, very smart dude. But he is an atheist, so we obviously don't share the same faith. And we work together. And I think we proved to the world that people can get along.
Right.
No matter what they believe or what side of the fence they're on. And George and I would like to say that we respect each other. I believe that we do. And we love each other. And he's a good friend, and we're going to do another project together.
Yeah, I heard about that. You're going to record it at the same time that you're going to do the next Stryper album. Is that right?
Yep, we're going to do the Stryper album, and then right after that, we're going to do the Sweet Lynch album.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I love George. I really do. I respect him, and I can't wait to work with him again. And I one of my all-time favorite guitar players ever.
Awesome. All right, now here's a guy. I don't know how well you know him, but I thought recently, especially his last couple of records, spoke to me as a Christian. Blackie Lawless. Yeah,
I have met Blackie, and I know he's a devout Christian. Very serious about his faith, and I respect the guy. I know his past. I used to go see Wasp before they got a record deal back at the Troubadour when I was a kid. And so I know his past, his crazy past. I've heard all the stories about his personality and about him as a person over the years. And the fact that someone from that side, who is that deep in it, can get pulled out of the muck and cleaned up and, be such a powerhouse when it comes to, carrying the torch of faith for Christians, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How can you not respect that? And he sounds the same. He sings great. Came back from basically being told he might not sing properly ever again. He had major vocal issues years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And he sings fantastic. He sounds great. And he's out there kicking butt, man, and kicking butt for rock and roll, but more important, kicking butt for God.
All right, one more name, and then that'll be all of that. And I got to throw this name out, Oz Fox.
Oz Fox. Oz Fox and I go way back. I think everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
To, when we were in high school.
Wow.
And I was a freshman. He was a junior. We used to get rides home from him in his truck, and we'd listen to Scorpions and UFO and Priest, and just rocking metal, hard rock / metal. So we hit it off then. And we became really good friends. He jammed with the band, did some things that got us in trouble. He was booted from the band, and then I convinced my brother to let him back in the band. And it's been history ever since. Very strong personality. We're all strong personalities, but I think Oz is probably the strongest personality in the band. In terms of definitely a little more on the stubborn side, and because of that, and I'm stubborn too, but because of that, we kind of bang heads a little bit more, but also we are probably the closest of friends in the band as well.
Right.
So because we are closer, I think we can put on the gloves and duke it out a little bit harder at times too. But great guy, great guitar player, and obviously the record speaks for itself.
All right, I want to do one more thing. I would like to give you a chance to speak to my audience. I want to just kind of give you the floor. You can talk about whatever you would like. I'm just going to give the floor to you, and I'll let you kind of wrap this up with whatever you would like to say to your fans, to the people who are hearing your solo album for the first time or just now getting to know who Michael Sweet and Stryper is all about, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Well, I mean, I'd just like to say for those people listening that, may know me or may not know me at all, I've already said this earlier, I'm a very passionate guy, and not just with music, but just in general. I like to, when I do something, I like to give it my all and do it to the fullest and put everything I have into it. And obviously, that goes for music. So I always joke about being OCD and ADHD and all that stuff, and it's true, I am. And I think those are some of the attributes that help me to do what I do and be who I am. And, at the level I like to do things at, I'm an extreme perfectionist. I like everything to be perfect, or I at least try to make everything perfect. So that being said, I'm still here 30-some-odd years later doing what I love to do, and you're still here supporting what I love to do. And I can't thank everyone enough for doing that. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans, that's for sure, because the fans have stood by my side through all the ups and downs, the darkness, the brightness. It doesn't matter. Everything I've been through, they've been there. And, I'm sitting here talking because of the fans, and I love the fans. I respect the fans. I try to involve them in everything I do on Facebook and Twitter, because it's really important to me for them to feel included and be a part of what I do. So God bless the fans. Can't wait to see you out on the road always, and can't wait to make the next album just for you, to hopefully touch your soul, to inspire and encourage you, all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Hey, man, likewise. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad you liked the album. So happy. And, man, just, stay out of trouble and come see us on this To Hell with the Devil tour. Hey, everybody, this is Michael Sweet of Stryper, and you are listening to... What is it again?